let's start with the basic point that Europe is diverse. A lot of what the spearhead deals with in your manifesto has been dealt with earlier by some of the things that Sophia Kubi mentioned. So I will focus on perhaps the foundations. Europe is diverse, and actually the motto of the European Union is unity in diversity. The manifesto mentions it as well. But politics is about managing our common life. And in a context of diversity, our common life and diversity can be dealt with through conflict and warring, or with a reconciliatory affirmation and promotion of freedom. There are two basic ways. In fact, as we speak, in another room of this very house of the European Parliament, the LGBT intergroup is having a meeting assessing about the five past years of their activities and projecting building projects for the future. Now, in these movements, as well as sometimes in Christian movements, we do see a lot of contribution to warring and conflict. The insistence that this manifesto has on freedom of faith, conscience, and expression, and the fact that the foundation for this spearhead is the Global Charter of Conscience, points to another way of dealing with it. The Global Charter of Conscience, and I will major on that, provides a new vision for diversity. And I will simply very briefly deal with four aspects of policy that I see as relevant. I was given about 7 minutes to deal with it, and I feel actually quite honored to sit in the chair of Mr. Bas Belder, who's a preacher, and 7 minutes is the time given for a Catholic homily, but I do not want to preach here. The first one is human dignity. It was dealt with earlier. And that is affirmed in the second point, directly quoted from the Global Charter of Conscience in the manifesto, and I'll read from it. Freedom of thought, conscience, and religion is inherent in humanity and rooted in the inviolable dignity of each human individual. As a birthright of belonging, it protects our freedom to be human and is the equal right of all human beings, without exception. There is a very intrinsic connection between freedom of conscience and human dignity. After all, our ability to be ourselves, to belong, is what makes us human. Secondly, this new vision for diversity contributes to an integral, holistic view of human development, of human flourishing. You know, the traditional concept of sustainable development comprises three pillars: economical, social, and environmental. Meanwhile, there's growing recognition that it is increasingly difficult for governments to design and implement pro-social policies, policies that contribute to society. Pro-social policies that go beyond economic redistribution and strengthen society as a whole. The unprecedented diversity in our societies, be it in worldview or lifestyle, is challenging the efficiency of policies. Just about a year ago, in the suburbs of Stockholm, an area called Husby, there were riots. And it was not the first time that such riots happened in Europe. It had happened a few years ago in the English suburbs, and in 2005 in the French suburbs. That's an example of that. So diversity is challenging the efficiency of policies, the stability and authenticity of democracy and peace itself. So the question is, how can we live together with our deepest differences? Well, the vision cast by the Global Charter of Conscience is about a cosmopolitan civil public square as a helpful doctrine of diversity, shall I call it, doctrine of diversity politics, which promotes both social justice and social freedom. And that idea is mentioned again in the manifesto under point 4, which I shall read. The public place of freedom of thought, conscience, and religion is best fulfilled through cultivating civility between citizens and constructing a cosmopolitan and civil public square. A public square in which people of all faiths, religious and naturalistic, are free to enter and engage public life on the basis of their faith. The vision of the Charter is not only about fundamental rights, but it actually helps to better integrate fundamental rights and social, economic, and cultural rights.